Hello! I want to welcome you to the last day of February and the first day of March is tomorrow. Spring is 22 days away. I'm Farmer Jim and this is Meet the Cape Cod Farmer. We're fortunate today to be in East Dennis on Sissuit Neck, right off of Route 6A, with a great farmer on Cape Cod, but at not enough acres. He farms about 10 acres of land. He has sheep and a greenhouse and fields, and he's right in the midst of doing shiitake mushroom spawn. That's where you drill a oak log and you put some spawn in it and seal it up with beeswax or paraffin, and you set it out in the shade and soak it, and hopefully you get them beautiful, delicious shiitake mushrooms. I want to remind everybody that I am Farmer Jim. You can reach me at farmerjimcapecod@comcast.net. I am also the president of the Cape and Islands Farm Bureau. We have a website. It's called capecodfarms.net, and there's a lot of great farmers on that website that people locally, or if you're tourists and traveling, you should go visit them. There's some great farm stands, there's great farms, there's great farmers markets, there's great farmers. There's not some, there's not a lot of farmers, but there's some great farmers here on the Cape, and we're very fortunate to be here with Jeff Deck. And today is a beautiful day compared to yesterday. We probably had an inch of rain and it went sideways. So we're going to reset here and we're going to have a nice interview talk, and we're going to walk through Jeff Deck's farm. Thank you. All right, we're here with Jeff Deck. Jeff, it's not enough acres. Jeff lives on Sissuit Neck Road in Dennis. You have a farm stand. You have sheep and chickens, and Tasha. There's Tasha the dog.
Tasha, she's been around for a while.
Yep. And you raise, your specialty is leafy greens, I would say.
Leafy greens and root vegetables.
And
we do a lot of potatoes, onions, leeks,
yep.
A lot of greens.
Now, how did you come up with not enough acres? What was the story with that?
It's a long story, but basically we have 4.25 acres, and we were trying to get our farm break, and at that point you needed the 5 acres of farmable land plus the square footage of your house, your property, right, and your outbuildings, and we didn't have enough, so my wife came up with the idea of not enough acres. That's a
great name for a farm. I've known you for quite a long time. You are also a director with me on the Cape and Islands Farm Bureau. Yep. You also hold the hat as the president of the
Farmers Market in Mid-Cape Farmers Market in Hyannis.
Right, that has a very long history. That started probably 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and has gone through some
ups and downs. We're on the upswing, and we're in a great location on Main Street at the Pilgrim Church on the corner of High School Road and Main Street, yep, on Wednesdays.
From
2 to 6.
2 to 6.
And it's the beginning of June until the end of October.
Right. And you have some great farmers there.
We have some great farmers. You're there. Crow Farm is there. Angel Organics is there. We have Good Butter Bakery is there. Greenbrier Kitchen.
Cape Cod Sea Salts.
Cape Cod Sea Salts.
There's some.
I can't remember them all.
Kayak Cookies.
That's better. Good Butter Bakery.
Right. Kayak Cookies, and it's a really an excellent market. Cynthia Cole managed that for last year or the last 2 years, and we've brought that back to what it was. We had problems moving around and where people come to, but it's been very good. You also do, what other markets do you work?
We do Harwich Center.
Yeah.
At the Harwich Brooks Park, brought on by the Harwich Historical Society.
Right.
I've been in that one since the start of it, and that's a great little market.
Right. Has a lot of, my wife at Miss Scarlett's Blue Ribbon Farm does that, and that's a very good market, even in bad weather. All these markets have gotten...
rain or shine, we're out there slugging away.
Right. What are you doing here?
These are shiitake mushroom logs. We drill 5/16 by 1.25 inch hole, and we put a dowel that's inoculated with the mushroom spore.
Yep.
And they get driven down through the hole, and then we seal it off with a beeswax.
Yeah. And you're just using a regular drill with a...
Just a regular drill, and I put a tape stop on it to show where we're stopping.
Yeah.
And they get drilled about every 3 to 4 inches around the log.
And you'll put these... There's a number of ways of putting mushrooms up. Some people do it in a rick. That's where they put 5 this way and 5 that way. Some people just lean them up and let them grow. What's the culture? What do you have to do to make mushrooms?
Keep them in a shaded location and keep them moist.
Yeah.
That's basically all you have to do. You know, this will be 6 to 12 months before we actually get a mushroom harvest out of it. So these are probably, with any luck, in the fall, we'll get our first small harvest out of them. But we have logs set on the driveway that are in their 3rd year now, and we're getting quite a harvest.
Now, how many years will you be able to harvest from?
Until these rot.
Rot. Well,
so,
if they're kept up.
You know, if they're 5, 6 years, 7 years.
And then you get to use the wood in your fireplace.
No, then we throw them out. Once they rot, they're pretty much no good for anything. So.
So this is your mushroom logs. What else you do here? You have a greenhouse.
We have a greenhouse. We have a small flock of chickens for eggs.
Yep.
We have sheep. We have 4 different breeds of sheep. We have a Shetland. We have an Icelandic Shetland breed. We have a Navajo Churro, and we have.
Well, anyway, it's a sheep.
Yeah.
Now what? Now.
Sheep. They're fiber animals.
Fiber animals. Now, what is fiber? What do they do with fiber?
Well, they get shorn once a year, and we send it out to Kathy Mealy and Brewster, and they have a process and operation where they take the fleece and they will make it into roven, which is a long, thin, single strand
yarn.
Fluffy thing, and my wife will take and spin that, and then she'll ply it, and then she has yarn to knit with.
Nice.
And she does a lot of that. She's been spinning for probably 25 years.
Now, does she belong to an organization?
Yeah, she belongs to Cape Cod Spinners, or the Spinning Club of Cape Cod, and
Gretel Norjo.
Gretel is part of that.
Gretel's part of that.
A lot of the farmer women are part of that. So
it's kind of like it was 200, 300, 400 years ago. You know, it's a different type of life, a different passion, and a different reason why. In your greenhouse, I hear you got stuff going already, or you've been working.
We've been farming in the greenhouse year round.
Yeah.
You know, it never stops growing. And right now we're picking, anywhere between 10 and 20 pounds of spinach a week.
And what are you doing with that spinach?
I eat too much of it. We sell to the restaurants. Pan d'Avignon, the Mercantile right now are the ones that are buying it.
Yeah.
Sometimes Red Pheasant Restaurant will buy some.
Right.
We sell, most of it gets sold out of the farm stand.
Right. And you have a farm stand. Now, do you have somebody man that farm stand?
No, it works on the honor system. We have a very secure box set up, and people put their money into the box. You know, it's open from sunup to sundown.
7 days a week.
7 days a week, 365 days a year. In fact, they can go in there in the middle of the night if they want to.
Right.
They walk in, the light goes on for them,
right.
and they can buy what they want. So.
Right. Kind of looks like an 8 by 10 little farm stand that Jeff built. Look at these cute little things. He's made little wren houses that people can take home and put up in their tree. You know, you're very diversified. He also has, being a Farm Bureau member, this is the Massachusetts Farm Bureau bumper stick. It's a sticker. It says "Get Fresh with a Local Farmer." So if you see Jeff and I out in the public this year, we're welcome to take kisses and hugs from anybody.
Yeah, we'll get fresh with anybody.
Right, we'll get fresh with anybody. And he's also a supporter here of Cape Cod, Buy Fresh, Buy Local, www.buyfreshbuylocal.capecod.org. If you're looking for farmers, you can find that here. And if you come down here, if you're really nice, he's even got a nice, not enough little acres farm stand. Well, I see that you got the menu of Pond d'Avignon because you partake them. You sell cheeses here?
We sell cheese. I bring in the cheese from Sterling, Mass, from Crystal Brook Farm. It's a goat cheese. Mm-hmm. It's a very nice, smooth goat cheese.
Yeah.
And
now it's a soft cheese. It's
a soft cheese. They're actually working on a hard cheese, but they haven't gotten it out to market yet.
Now, this cheese is processed in a state-certified, federally recognized.
Yeah, it's just a small little farm up in Sterling, Mass, which is north of Worcester, and it's just a great, wonderful cheese.
Right, but getting back, with farming, there are so many regulations that you have to almost be a lawyer to figure them out. If she's producing cheese and
she has certified kitchens, processing area, and everything else, everything's stainless steel and
and she has a health inspector that comes in probably once or twice a year, inspects her facility and does tests. I'm sure the milk is tested for bacteria counts and things like that. It's amazing. It's amazing. There's a lot of great farmers.
It all has to be pasteurized for the cheese. And
what most people don't realize, that everything that you do in your life, somebody somewhere, some cotton farmer down south, planted and harvested and picked the cotton for your underwear. That first cup of coffee that you had in the morning, some farmer, someplace, 2 times a day, milked a bunch of cows so that you could have cream in your
or a bunch of goats or whatever.
Right, and the sugar plantations down south in the tropical areas, somebody farmed the sugar cane so that we could have our sweeteners. It's just amazing. People need to realize that farming is in every, most kids don't know that milk comes from a cow, but farmers are a very important part of the world, and they keep us fat and happy.
Yeah.
This is really peaceful. Now you say you use about 10 acres. Look at your sheep.
We have the sheep are out there. You might be able to see them.
Yep.
The sheep graze on anywhere between 3 and 5 acres of land that belongs to my father-in-law's cousin, and that's all in conservation restrictions. That land, all the land that we actually farm for crops is across the street from us.
That's your father-in-law.
That's my father-in-law's property. All this land has been farmed since 1713 with the original King's Grant. It was.
So we go all the way back to England.
So all the way back.
That's what I've been. That's what I've been saying.
It was the original breakup of the Yarmouth land, and it went to the Crolls.
Right.
And my wife is a Kroll, and her father-in-law. Her father lives across the street from us, and that's one of the original homes. So.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Agriculture started in Cape Cod, Plymouth County, 400 years ago.
Well, they had to eat.
They had to eat. They had to eat.
That's all anybody did was farm, fish, and seafaring. So.
All right. Well, I think at this time we're going to take a little break, and we're going to set up, and we'll go look at your greenhouse, and then we'll try to go look at across the street.
At the muddy fields.
Yes. Up this. You'll need. All right, we're in Jeff's 20. It looks like a 25 by 32.
It's 21 by 36.
21 by 36.
Yeah.
This is February 28th, 2013. He's picking right around 20 pounds of spinach and leafy greens a week.
Out of here. We have started up it in front of Tasha here, my dog. My leeks are just coming up. This is where we start our seedlings. There's 4,000 of them here right now.
Right.
And they will be grown to about 6 inches in height. They'll be cut in half and then moved out into the fields.
When you say cut in half, you'll trim them? You'll trim them?
We trim them down so they get thicker. It develops a bigger, thicker, stronger plant.
And it bulks them up so that you're not, they're not spindly. With the way the light is coming and everything else, in this time of year, because we probably only have right around 10 hours worth of daylight, which under proper growing conditions you need at least 13.
And it takes leeks a long time to develop anyway.
They're probably a 110-day variety, maybe one.
Yeah, 110, 120, thereabouts. But they take, that's from transplant.
Right.
You know,
They take 4 or 5 weeks.
It takes 8 weeks to get them to transplant size.
Right.
So
And
it's a long.
And you'll dig this up.
And we'll dig it up, and they'll be like, oh, they're going to be. By the time we dig them up, they're going to be this size here.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
you'll take that and you'll
this
transplant
and
them.
we'll transplant that out into the fields. It will actually be cut down
Yeah.
in size, so it's about 6 inches
Right.
tall.
And with a leek, do you bury them deep, but you do them in a trench and
We actually use a dibble
Yeah.
for planting them, which
Okay.
is just an old shovel handle
Right.
made into a point,
Right.
and you push a hole 6 inches deep, and you just drop that right into it.
Right, and that means you'll have 6 inches of good stalk because
Yeah.
you'll have the white meat.
Yeah.
That's the white part of the plant that people like, and then you'll have the green end of the plant.
Yeah.
Now this is a kale.
That's Toscano kale,
Yep.
and we'll be growing that for a little bit longer. I have to start taking some of this stuff out I have to get another onion crop grown in here, and a couple
Now,
other things.
have you started seeding any of your? It's 1st of March.
Yeah.
Everybody gets that itch to
Yeah.
start their tomatoes, start their eggplants, start their peppers, start Brussels sprouts,
Yeah.
cabbage, cold.
We have broccoli started. We started in the house on the heat tape.
Mm-hmm.
Broccoli, kohlrabi. We have a lot of that going. We have pat choy
Yep.
started.
When will you physically start planting in a field
in-
outside of
in
a
the field?
protective
Well,
environment?
Well, St. Patrick's Day we traditionally put our peas in. I'm a steadfast believer in
Right.
planting my peas, and we'll plant 15 pounds of seed.
And
for that.
that'll be how many feet, you think?
Well, we triple plant
Yeah,
our peas, and there's probably 1,000 feet.
1,000 feet of
couple
peas.
thousand feet.
All
of peas.
picked by these little hands.
All picked by hands.
All
yes.
picked by
All
hand. There's
our
no
help.
mechanical,
No.
nothing mechanical. That's what's great about here in the Cape. This is, you get off the Cape and you get to, everybody thinks produce is California, Arizona, New Mexico, Oregon, and they've got these huge tractors and, 15 guys picking lettuce and all that stuff and boxing it. This is basically a one-man operation with a couple part-time people helping you in the peak of the season.
During the peak of the season, but
Right.
up until June, it's a one-man operation.
Right.
I'll have somebody in May helping doing some of the seeding
Right.
and stuff like that, as you know.
Now this is spinach.
This spinach we've been picking. We grow them in groups of 3. These 3 beds, these 3 beds, and those 3 beds.
Right.
These have been picked 5 times already. These particular ones here.
5 times this year.
5 times already this year. We've been picking since December, and probably every 3 to 4 days, 5 days, depending on the actual light.
Right.
If it's raining
Right.
and really not nice outside, then it doesn't grow.
Right.
But
It's probably 36, 37 degrees outside, and when we came in here, it probably was all a 70.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, when the sun is shining outside and it can be 15, 20 degrees, it can be 80, 90 degrees in here.
You still have to open doors if it's really sunny.
Yes, I do. And the side of the greenhouse does roll up, so as the season progresses,
Right.
we'll...
Now they call this a high tunnel.
This is a high tunnel.
There's no heat
No.
heat resources available to here. So when it was 10 degrees that 2 weeks out here, you buttoned this up tight and everything was good.
The only problem we had a little dieback in the Tuscan kale. The spinach didn't mind it at all.
Right.
It was still freezing at about this height here.
Right.
But at ground level, it was always above freezing.
Right.
The ground never froze itself. So.
Well, this is really, really, really impressive, and I want to reiterate: local, buy fresh, buy local, Cape Cod farmer, East Dennis, one of the most beautiful spots on Cape Cod, East Dennis, Sasuat Neck Road, honor system, great quality produce year round.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we have produce year round. We still are offering potatoes. We have
Right.
this product here, the honey, the eggs.
yep. Now you when you plant your potatoes, do you go by the old wise tale when the oak leaves are the size of a mouse's ear?
Oh, no, that's for corn. When the oak leaf is the size of a mouse's ear, it's time to plant your corn.
Right.
And any of your summer crops you can
Right.
plant at that point. We follow that sometimes. Sometimes it's just too early. Last
Right.
year it was like March.
Right.
And you know we put out onions early last year at the same time we usually do, but we had 80, 90-degree weather that week, and we got onion maggots in and we lost the crop.
Well,
so, yeah.
but now I failed to say this. Jeff, you practice organic
Yeah, we're
methods.
organic farmers. We're not certified organic,
Right.
but everything we do is above and beyond organic.
You're better than
Yeah,
organic.
we are.
You practice those methods. No harsh chemicals, no harsh pesticides, no harsh, herbicides and everything else.
Everything is done with compost and with.
Right. Yep. And you
so-
use your manure to make compost that makes soil. I
Yeah.
mean, now if this farm's been here since the 17th century, it's probably pretty good soil compared
Yeah, well,
to.
this property where our house is here, this was built in 1928, and this was pretty much just a sand yard.
Right.
They used it mainly for dusting all the cranberry bogs,
Right.
all the sand. So yeah, we had to build the soil.
Right.
Soil here was horrible.
Right.
but
And you
we
were
had to build
you're surrounded by it appears to be wetlands,
Yeah.
but they're ancient cranberry bogs.
They were working cranberry bogs.
working
at one
cranberry
time.
bogs. And back when
But-
cranberries dropped out of fondness because you couldn't make a living taking care of them, people
Yeah,
abandoned their
people,
bog.
yeah, people weren't buying them back then, and they had a lot of disease problems with it. So
All right. We're standing again in East Dennis on a beautiful day in February. God knows we've had some terrible days in February, but
Yeah.
today's a good day in February.
and it's amazing we can stand in the field today
We-
because it's been so wet that we come out here sometimes and sink up to our knees
Right.
in the mud. So
We're standing out in his, this is his produce, where he grows a lot of his produce. He has a little over an acre in production, and he's got 7 individual fields. This is last year's
Swiss chard.
Swiss chard and the remnants of last year's cabbage and Brussels sprouts. If you look here, you'll see he's got a little electric fence going around there. That's to keep the deer out.
or try to keep the deer out.
Try to keep the deer out. It looks like you got apple and pear trees there. Now you grow apples.
Well, we have some ancestral apple trees. There's my father-in-law planted some of them when he inherited the property about 30 years ago, 35 years ago. We have some Macintosh that we actually pick on a good year.
Yeah.
We don't spray our trees, so some years we have really good fruit, and other years it just isn't good.
It has to do with weather. Farming has to do.
And the cycle of the insects.
Right.
The cedar rust is the big thing with the Macintosh
We
tree.
should have a pretty good year this year because we had some frost, early on, and doesn't have to kill all the bugs, but if it could get them knocked back. This is absolutely gorgeous, beautiful piece. We can over there, about 200 yards away is where the sheep are. That's Jeff's homestead where he raises his sheep and his chickens and his greenhouses. But Jeff, I want to tell you that I'm really impressed with everything you do. Is there anything you'd like to add to this?
Well, I've been lucky to be able to farm this piece of property. It's been farmed for so long. It wasn't farmed as intensely as it's being now.
Right.
My wife's in-laws, they had a very large asparagus business here at one time.
Right.
Half this field was asparagus and was trucked out to Boston
Right.
every year on the train, on a weekly basis to the train. It was a big crop for them. They had dairy here.
Yeah.
They had milk cows, and the summer people, what little bit of summer people there were at that point, they would come to the farm and they would buy their fresh milk from here, from the
Right.
farm, which,
Right.
it's not a huge farm. It's never was and never will be a huge farm. We've always been
But it's a
small
great
niche.
it's a great farm. You're diversified. Man, you're doing mushrooms. You're doing bees. You're doing apples. You're doing sheep. You're doing chickens. You're doing, you know, tons and tons of vegetables. You're running a farm stand. You're going to farmers markets. You're dealing with the restaurant patrons. That's a full-time job in itself. That's three full-time jobs.
As they say, you put in 40 hours by Tuesday.
Yes, you do put in 40 hours by Tuesday. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you very much for letting us invade your privacy here, because the world will now see you as Jeff Deck, the farmer, and Not Enough Acres.
That's all right.
I want to tell you that it's been a pleasure to come out here.
It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Right.
And hopefully you can come back and see some crops grown later in the
I
year.
think we'll come back, you know, in June. After
right now it just looks like a bunch of dirt, but you know,
but it's alive. This is alive. You know, soil is alive. It's full of macro and micro and little microchasms and everything else, and it's alive. You know, I mean, and people need to realize that somebody somewhere farms for you to eat your food. Somebody somewhere farms so you could have, you know, clothes on your back and coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts coffee beans just don't miraculously show up. You know, somebody somewhere in the world farms those.
Yeah, somebody has to make them. So.
Right. Again, I want to thank you. I'm Farmer Jim. If anybody has any questions that you want to let me ask, I will be happy to try to get you all the information. I'm Farmer Jim at Cape Cod, Farmer Jim Cape Cod at Comcast.net. You can call me 508-685-2971, 508-685-2971. It's been my pleasure to be here with Jeff. When it gets down to it, we need to buy fresh, buy local. You need to get smart and get local. You need to get fresh with your local farmers, no matter who they are, and you need to know where your food is coming from. And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.